What's up, nerds? I'm Wes and Everywhere Gaming. Let's talk about the latest game in the Pandemic line, Hot Zone North America. I am going to keep the explanation pretty brief because I did do a full comparison video of Hot Zone to the original Pandemic game. You can click on the card to see that. But in short, Pandemic Hot Zone is the base game of Pandemic, kind of shrunk down into a physically smaller game that takes less time to play, but you play by almost the exact same rules. So, diving right into my thoughts on that premise of it's pretty much the same game, but it plays a lot faster. I definitely see some benefits to that. Just if you have less time to play and you want to play Pandemic, this is the solution for you. If you're trying to teach somebody who's really hesitant to play a new game, saying like, hey, we're going to play this game, it's probably going to take about an hour, versus, hey, this is a great game, it's like a 25-minute investment. If you hate it, you're done, I'll never ask you to play it again. Like, that's going to be an easier to sell to get a non-gamer into this game. Additionally, things like traveling, like this, you can tell this box is much smaller than the actual Pandemic box. It'd be a lot easier to travel with something this size, and it's also cheaper. So another huge benefit if you don't have the funds to buy base Pandemic, or if you're trying to decide between Pandemic and another game, and you can get Hot Zone and another game like that, you get more games and you get the same feeling for less money. The real question comes in of, if you have Pandemic or if you have access to Pandemic, what is the benefit of this new game? And I'll admit that, like, Tom and I had a lot of discussions about this, and my wife Emily and I had a lot of discussions about this, of like, who do we see this game for? And if they already own Pandemic, should they still buy this game? To start with who this game is for, again, I kind of already hit on, like, if you don't want to invest in the full game of Pandemic, then this is a great opportunity for you. I also think that this is the perfect gift game because co-ops are really easy to teach new players because you can kind of explain the rules as you go. It being a friendly game, you could play with all open hands and kind of like guide them through. Like, you don't want to be an alpha gamer, but you can give them suggestions, you can give them advice. It's really easy for them to ask questions. We were teaching someone how to play Spyfall the other night, and they were like, why does my card not have a location on it? Like, obviously, they just ruined the round, and not that's necessarily their fault, because they don't understand, maybe it was taught poorly, but that doesn't happen in this game. You can ask questions, guide them through it. So if you want to give somebody a board game, this is perfect because it's small, it doesn't take up a lot of space, it's a lot cheaper. Additionally, if I'm like taking this game to someone else's house, which is going to be easier to transport because it's smaller, I'm going to feel a lot better about leaving this there. If they love it, I'll just say, here, it's yours, keep it, start your collection, join the hobby, do it. Do it. And again, a much cheaper, smaller game, I feel a lot less emotional attachment to just giving it away, so it opens up that possibility. Now, if you own regular Pandemic, does this game have a spot in your collection permanently? This is a toughie. Right off the bat, most people, I'm gonna say no. If you love Pandemic, then this is gonna feel like it's half of the game of Pandemic to you. You're going to feel crippled by the lack of characters available to you, the time of the game, the locations you can go, the fact that you can't build research stations. That's one of the things I love about the game, is like building your strategic stations all over the board, so travel becomes so much easier. Those like limitations don't make the game better, in my opinion. They make it play faster, they make it easier to play, but they don't actually improve on it. They actually take away some of the things I love about base Pandemic. So if you have Pandemic and you love it, I don't think that this is the first one that I would get. Unless you're just a pure completionist, you have to have everything Pandemic, in which case, absolutely, buy it. I would justify that it is a different game. The other big benefit of this game is traveling, is keeping it at your desk at work, is keeping it in your car at all times, sticking it in your backpack. It takes up so little real estate, especially if you stripped it down and like didn't keep it in this box. You just kept like a Ziploc bag full of all the components and then kept the board. And then even like this whole game would fit in a gallon Ziploc bag. So using that for permanent transport is a huge benefit for me. I probably won't do that just because I like the box and I like keeping really good condition of my games. But if I need to take a game with me to game night, this one's always going to come. So if you are traveling a lot, if you want to like keep a game at work, because again, this game plays in 25 to 30 minutes, so you can play it on a lunch break with your coworkers. It's perfect for that. And again, if they love it, give it to them. Go get your office a new one. Donate it to your office. There are so many reasons why this game should exist outside of I want to add another game to my collection because I love Pandemic. Now I get that I'm selling it to you a lot. Like I'm selling it pretty hard there. And like Tom was saying that he was just frustrated by the lack of diversity game to game. He really didn't like that we were limited to only 4 player abilities, just because game to game you're not going to see a lot of difference. The fact that it played so quickly, when it ended, the whole table sentiment was, why did we not just play regular Pandemic? Like, it was about the same amount of setup. It would have taken a little bit longer, but the gameplay would have been more rewarding. That's definitely the biggest negative for me in this game, is having it on my shelf right next to Pandemic. If I'm playing at home, I will never grab it. No, never is a strong word. I will almost never pick this over regular Pandemic, which is why, again, this might not stay at home. It might get given away to somebody who I want to have more games. I might take it to work and play it there. The other really big thing that I like about this game is the Crisis deck. And these are the cards that you vary depending on how hard you want the game to be. And they're immediate events. You have to play them as soon as they're drawn. They're all bad. They all make the game harder. That addition to Epidemics in the deck, like Epidemics are crippling when they come up, and like they mark the game getting closer to being over. However, there are lots of times where I would rather an Epidemic card come up than one of these Crisis cards. And I really enjoy that. I want Pandemic to be a punishing game. I want it to be difficult. I want it to be like a challenge to beat. I want to beat it and feel like I accomplished something, not just like I solved a puzzle. So adding those to this game, if they just, and I'm pretty sure there are Crisis cards in one of the expansions for Pandemic. I actually don't have all of them. All I have is On the Brink for the base game. If they don't, I would totally buy if they had just a really cheap, like $5 or $10 Crisis card pack that you could just buy and throw in your box of Pandemic. Hands down, I would buy it. I think it's a great addition to the game. So, if you are somebody who does want to add Pandemic Hot Zone North America to your collection, either you're the completionist, you have somewhere else you want to take it, you want to like play Pandemic with somebody and then say, here, you have this one, it's basically the same game, but it's a little bit easier, so when you're teaching it to new people, it's going to be easier to teach. There's going to be a purchase link in the description box down below, right above our link. You can check out this awesome game topper. Sponsor time. We've had our game topper for about 2 months now, and we absolutely love it. Playing games on a dedicated tabletop designed for games changes the whole experience more than I really realized that it would. And I didn't realize how much I would enjoy this table before I had it. These playmats that go on top that are stitched on the edges, they make picking up cards easier. They make gaming more of an experience and not just a hobby. I cannot recommend enough that you guys get a custom game topper, especially one from Game Toppers, because we've really been enjoying ours. Either way, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.